Hi everyone, I'm Danny Walker. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me again if you've already subscribed, and if you haven't, please be sure to do so, as well as give the video a thumbs up, like it, and share it with your friends. Today I'm going to be talking about something that is very important to me and very close to my heart. It's something that I have talked about previously on social media, but it's something that I also want to share more about. Last year, I lost my cousin Andrew to a hit-and-run drunk driving accident. It's still pretty unbelievable for me to say that, and it doesn't always feel real, and it didn't feel real in the moment, but myself and my family decided to take that tragedy and use it for something positive. Since then, we got involved with Donate Life America and One Legacy. Essentially, it's an organization that encourages people to become organ and tissue donors. We worked with them to volunteer and fundraise and attend their walks, to share about Andrew's story and to honor the legacy of all of those generous people who decided to become organ and tissue donors. We want to make sure that Andrew's story is not forgotten, and I don't think it will be, because his donation saved 5 lives. So I wanted to tell you guys a bit about that entire experience and elaborate on that and what that was like. I remember getting the phone call at 1 in the morning, and my grandma called me and told me that Andrew was hit by a car. When you get woken up in the middle of the night out of your sleep, not everything makes sense or connects. So I can remember saying, "Andrew who?" Because the idea of him getting hit by a car was so far out of my reality that I couldn't accept it. And she said, "Well, your cousin Andrew." And I said, "Just no way." I put it in the back of my head like, okay, he got hit by a car, he must have broken an arm or a leg, and he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. I knew Andrew was in the ER, and we couldn't see him right away, so I decided, okay, I'll go to the hospital in the morning. I went there in the morning expecting just to see him smiling and sitting in a hospital bed. And I got there and he was unconscious. He was in a coma. He didn't look like Andrew. I couldn't see very much of him. He was covered by blankets mostly, but I could see a lot of swelling in his head and face. His head was so swollen that he couldn't close his eyes. You couldn't see Andrew. You couldn't see him there. And when I saw that, I realized this was worse than I could have ever imagined. And I remember the first thing that his mom said when I went to go hug her and look at her was just, "Look at what they did to my baby. Look at what he did to my baby." The person whose car hit Andrew. We were still hopeful at that time. He still had a little bit of brain activity. But within the next couple of days, the doctors finally said that he was brain dead. At that time, you have to make the choice whether to keep your loved one on life support and just have them as a vegetable in the hospital, even though they're not really there. It's just machines keeping them alive, or you choose to take them off life support and let them pass. My family decided, Andrew's mom and dad decided that they wanted to donate his organs. So what happens at that point is the doctors have to go in and they have to check and make sure that his organs are viable. And sometimes they don't know if they are until they actually go in to take them. That you would have had to have agreed to being an organ donor, and then they don't know if they're viable until they actually take them. So they made that really difficult decision to take Andrew off of life support. There are so many things to learn about this that I just didn't know about. You can't just take somebody off life support and put their organs on ice. They have to be, you actually already have to have transplant recipients for all of their donors before you take them off life support. So we waited until we found donors, and I didn't know that you could actually choose the person that, or offer to someone your family members' organs. So we were calling around and asking if there was anybody that we knew or friends or family knew that might have Andrew's blood type, so the organs would be compatible. We couldn't find anybody in our near family, so we ended up releasing the organs to anybody else on the transplant list. We waited till we found those people, and when we did, then it was time to finally let go of Andrew. I thought that we would be able to be with Andrew up until the time that they disconnected the machines, and you aren't able to do that. What happens is we said bye to Andrew the day before, and then his parents got to go and be with him up until the point that they are wheeling him into the surgery room, so they were allowed to go with him as far as the elevator, at which point the doctors take him up to the floor for the surgery to occur, and that's it. And that was difficult. I thought that we were going to be able to hold his hand, but you just have to leave them. As difficult as that was, what does bring you so much solace in that time is knowing that his life went to save other people's lives. And we're sad, but then you think about the families who've been waiting so long for a transplant to come their way, and that now their loved one is going to have a second chance. So that was very helpful. Because of that, we wanted to get involved in the donor community, and it was amazing that we did. I was so impressed by Donate Life America and One Legacy and the efforts that they went to remember all of the incredible people who decided to give the gift of life to others, and how important that was. And it inspired me to keep going and to keep sharing about Andrew's story, because it's a great way to remember him and make sure that his legacy is going to continue. And I wish you guys could have seen Andrew, but he was just known as the happiest person. No matter what was going on in his life, he was always joking and making light of a situation, and there was never a time growing up with him that you could be sad around Andrew, because he brought happiness to every situation, to every room. I think that was a great thing to be remembered for. It's why it's so important for me to share about Andrew so this doesn't happen again. Some of you may be wondering about what happens on the drunk driving side of it, and why I've chosen on social media to share about Andrew's story whenever major drinking holidays come around. I do that because I don't want anybody to go through what I've gone through. Fortunately, there were witnesses when this did happen to Andrew, and they caught the guy the night that it happened. He hit Andrew, he put his car in reverse, and he drove off, and people followed him, so they were able to arrest him and convict him. And I did have the opportunity, because the man pled guilty, to address him at his sentencing and address the court. And that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, was to express my feelings to the person who took away the life of my loved one. I didn't plan on doing that, and then I showed up there that day and I had the opportunity to do so, so I did, and I wanted to speak on Andrew's behalf. I want to continually speak on his behalf and remind all of my friends why it is so important not to drink and drive. You may not be putting yourself in danger, but you may take away someone else's life and their loved one. And now, because of it, the person who killed Andrew is in jail and behind bars, and his family doesn't have him. And it's a lose-lose situation for both families. But the one good thing that came out of it was that Andrew had 5 viable organs. He saved the lives of 5 people. I think that's so important, that those individuals had a second chance at life. For anyone who has ever or will ever experience losing a loved one, I hope that they also get to experience the joy of organ donation and how important it is and how wonderful it is to have a community of people who understand your situation and who support you. And that is why it's so important for me to encourage everyone to become an organ donor. You can join me in that. It's very easy. Visit donatelife.net and you can easily register to become an organ, tissue, and eye donor. There are also living donors, and you can save someone's life. There's nothing more rewarding than being able to give life to somebody else and to give a family a second chance, which is why I wanted to share all of this with you guys. I know it's not my typical video, my typical episode, but it is important to talk about, and I hope that it inspires you to become an organ donor. Thank you guys for watching this channel, for checking out this episode. Please be sure to share it with your friends and your family. Give it a thumbs up, like it, because it is so important. And doing something as simple as going online to register to become a donor can be a blessing in someone else's life and can save a life. And what better legacy can you have than to save another person's life? Which is why I encourage you all to do so. But thank you guys for watching this episode. I appreciate it, and I hope that you go sign up right now to become an organ donor.